We go now to London, where our correspondent Jonathan Sacerdoti is waiting. Good afternoon, Jonathan. So we're nearly there, finally. What influence has the debate yesterday had, in your opinion?
That debate last night was monumental in British politics in terms of the scale of the event. We saw Wembley Arena, a venue normally used for pop and rock concerts and other large events, packed with 6,000 members of the public, split evenly between both sides, Leave and Remain, listening to some of the leading figures in the debate, arguing face-to-face over the essential issues which lie at the heart of the decision people are being asked to make tomorrow. And they did argue those points very strongly on both sides. We saw the different sides accusing each other all the way through of project fear or project hate, depending on which side they were on, criticizing how the campaign had gone on, and we saw questions from the audience pinpointing the specific issues of immigration, of economics, of borders, of sovereignty, and of law. So all of these issues being discussed in a way that just isn't necessarily normal practice for British public.
Are there any last-minute polls to maybe hint who has the momentum?
The polls right the way through this campaign period have been so close that it's impossible to call, and that's another reason why this has been such a hotly contested election. It's not a general election. Nobody's voting for a particular party or a government. It's a referendum, and that means that the British public have a once-in-a-lifetime, a once-in-a-generation opportunity to decide something that will really set the course for their future over the coming years.
Right.
And depending on which side they believe, that could be the path to enormous success or enormous failure, or more likely something in between, whatever happens, either side.
Yeah, but there are political implications to this. I mean, this will influence Cameron, for instance, if depends which way the vote goes.
Depending on the result of this, Mr. Cameron's time in office could be quite short or could be rather difficult after the result of the vote. When we hear on Friday whether or not Britain will be leaving the EU, Mr. Cameron will have to decide whether he can stay in position as Prime Minister and as leader of the Conservative Party. He said that in the event of a Leave vote, he would still remain as Prime Minister, as he's the man that promised this referendum to the nation before the election. He's the man who delivered it after the election, and he should therefore be the man to execute it if the result is a Leave result. But there are those in his party who may argue that he is no longer fit to be the Prime Minister, having campaigned so hard for a Remain vote. So depending on what happens on Friday, this could also have implications for domestic politics in terms of the Tory party and the position of Prime Minister in the country.
Right. Lastly, what sort of turnout is expected, and who will benefit from a large turnout or otherwise?
In fact, predictions of the turnout are very high, and this is also quite unusual. Britons can be quite apathetic about their elections, but on this issue, people have been discussing it all over the place, in shops, in streets, in neighbourhoods. Up and down the nation, people have opinions on this issue. Of course, things that can swing that are even as mundane as the weather. Tomorrow is predicted to be a very rainy day for some, and that could encourage some people to stay at home. But both sides will be hoping to mobilise the electorate, particularly the Remain side, who may be relying more on younger voters who are normally less inclined to turn out to vote. They'll be hoping that those people will be swinging it towards a Remain decision.
Right. So if they stay at home, they might also they might actually leave the EU. Jonathan Sacerdoti in London, thank you so much.